introduce yourself as, I mean, dude, you're like one of our first guests we've ever had. First guest.
Well,
I love Donald.
third guest.
Donald,
Yeah.
one of our first.
Number one in our hearts.
Tell us about who you are and why you're here today.
Yeah, my name's Donald. It's Donald Craig. Grandma called me Donald Duck.
Ooh,
And
really?
Yeah.
So
most
do
of my
mine.
life. Yeah.
It's like, why? I don't know, ask my grandma.
Yeah. I'm here because honestly, just life brought me here, man. God's will, and we're gonna make some magic happen. Hopefully, change some lives, and we'll see what it's about. Hopefully, we provide some value for you, and you, and everybody else.
Yeah, and all 112 of you. Just to preface this real fast, I think we have to start getting less intuitive individuals on here because I feel like the more intuitive they are, the longer it takes for us to start filming. So,
Oh,
dude,
do you know what I was about to say?
Just so you know, this is gonna be a great episode. So you're
We
gonna
were
wanna stay tuned.
supposed to go live probably over an hour ago, and Robbie's like, yeah, you know, I got my buddies down. He's intuitive. And I walk in, I'm holding bags of chips. I'm in a rush. I'm not even thinking about that comment. And he goes, hey, what's up, man? Goes in for a hug. I'm like, oh yeah, this guy's saved. He's intuitive. I already know. I remember, yep. And we just talked about literally God and these. I mean, he was telling me about his daughter, and I was getting to know him personally, and we just met. But it's like that feeling at the same page of when, like, I don't know, when you have the same father and you're like chasing something, and you know you're trying to be the best version of yourself. It's like everyone, although different paths, can have that mutual respect of like, I like the grind, man. Like. We're trying to make it out here.
We're on a mission, bro.
Absolutely.
Like, at the end of the day, changing lives.
Go.
Oh man, cut that out.
Wait.
Cut it
But
out.
at the end of the day, that's why we're here today, is because God doesn't want us dreaming alone at the end of the day. But I am curious, Shane, what does that mean for you?
I guess one preface of I say, VibeCheck episode 22. Why dream alone? Now, what it means to me, first, I gotta give credit to a great guy. Honestly, our friend Mickey Boy, who is 27.
Oh, yeah.
38. Oh, shit. Really? I thought he was 37. No, 38. Oh, shit, he lied. I'm kidding. So, pretty much, he was giving advice to actually one of our mutual friends. And he was like, yeah, like, you know, God's supporting your dreams. And, you know, like, he doesn't want you to dream alone. Why dream alone? You can, you know, dream with him and have this strength that's walking with you, and it's going to guide you to like a right path. And so to answer your question, like what it means to me, it's literally the fact that no matter what, people can wrong you in this world. And although you can trust people, like your rock can't lie within can't lie within them. But as humans, we need attention, some level. But when you put that into Christ, even your dreams, when you're not like walking physically, even like at any point, it's just like, it's your physical body and like you're dreaming with him. It's like he's with you and empowering something that gives you faith that you can chase your dreams and give you the strength to do so, instead of letting your inner insecurity stop you due to self-doubt. Blah, 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 blah. Robbie, Donald, please say something. I'm bad. How about you guys? What do you mean to you, Robbie?
Donald? What is
Donald? Yeah, hold on. Donald? What does it mean to you, dude?
Whoa. Repeat the question, Robbie.
Yeah, what is
Do you see how long of a day it's been?
Not dreaming alone look like for you?
Not dreaming alone.
What does that mean?
Yeah. So we're all having, for me, this is my perspective and my thoughts on it, is we're all having the human experience. And we all know suffering, we all know accomplishment, we all know life, we all know trauma, we all know good, we all know bad. Like, we've all experienced the same things as humans. And once we realize that, like, once I've realized that my life is not about me, it's about the service I provide and the impact I leave on the world, that put me on a mission. And I heard a quote, if you want to accomplish your goals, just help everyone else accomplish theirs. And if I want to bring my dreams into reality, whatever those dreams are, I got to help other people tap into it and bring their dreams into reality. So sharing the wealth, sharing the common knowledge, sharing the good facts, and aligning ourselves so that way, because I had a chance to have a phenomenal conversation with this guy, and one of the things that came out is in life you have X amount of fucks to give, and you have to choose them wisely. And men like these, I'm honored to be here because men like these choose to give them so they provide life and value to other people around them, because together we win. We're all team human, and there's is evil in the world, and so we can't be selfish, because when I'm selfish, evil works through me, and I've lived that life before, and I was humbled. I lost it all, and only to realize like my life's not about me, and I get to live the rest of my life serving people and helping them hit their goals. So that's what that means to me, guys.
I do have a question for you really fast.
Yeah.
Thank you for that feedback, by the way. I told you guys this is going to be great. Do you feel like there was ever a time where it should have been about you? Maybe when you were younger, maybe needed to be poured into. Do you feel like that's like a phase in the human experience where we need to be filled up so in order for us to give?
Yeah.
Can I say one thing really
Yeah,
quick?
absolutely.
Not to cut you off. I just want to say, because typically when we're here, I guess it's like, we have been like looking at each other, not saying we should, but I think you're spitting so much value, like value. Like,
It's just flowing.
I
from
literally
God's
see
voice.
Robbie's face and my face, and I wanted to put this. I didn't want to forget this, but we're literally like looking at you.
We're being poured into.
And it's just, you're like I'm like I literally just like forgot, like, wait, I'm literally talking to you. I was just like we were like, oh,
We thought we were watching the podcast for a second.
yeah. And I think what made that stand out is the fact that you said you were serving, and I recently learned actually from literally Mickey that that's a leader, someone that can serve others. And you said you want everyone to win. I'm always telling all our creator buddies, like, yeah, like we gotta like all win, and you do that through serving others, which is what Christ wants you to do. And yeah, you don't really hear that. You know, and so we're just like watching, kind of like, oh wow, this guy's so cool. But now to your next question.
The main point I feel like about that is just like he's not worried about what he's going to say next. He's being, present and vulnerable and letting God speak through him. So you can tell me if I'm wrong, but yeah, that's how I feel about it. So
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. I walked into the bathroom before we started this, and I just prayed, and I ran sales meetings, I ran sales organizations, sales business, and I just asked God to speak through me and for me. And like I said, I've lived a life of sin and without God, and all for me is selfish me, and look at me. And I like to tell Robbie, I used to buy $1,200 suits, because I could, and like my life's not about me. And once we realize that, we can make a positive impact on people. And Robbie, you had asked a question that I really want to answer, and it was, what happens when it does become about me? There's two things to realize. The victim mentality is real, and as humans, we have 5 or 6 human needs. Tony Robbins talks about the 6 human needs, and one of those is certainty, uncertainty, love, and validation. We need to be validated, and so we're either going to get all our needs met in a healthy or unhealthy way. And the need to be validated is a need. So I have to be validated, and I have to be conscious that it gets validated in a healthy way, right? Like I was like 276 pounds at one point in my life. And so I'm not 276 pounds anymore. And I get validated for my work that I put into my body. And that does increase my ego. And the ego's not bad. It's a tool. And so once we realize that, like, if the ego runs rampant, it will cause death and destruction. But that ego needs to be managed and cared for and loved and taken care of. And like, I'm a child, bro. Like I need someone to rub my back physically and emotionally. I need someone to tell me it's okay when I need to hear that. And I need someone to tell me, man up, bro. Like, this is challenge. You need to face this, and you need to dig into your warrior and face this head on. And like, And so that need we have 6 human needs, and they have to be met. They're going to be met in healthy ways or unhealthy ways. And so we have to have the self-awareness. I have to have the self-awareness to know, are my needs being met in a healthy way or unhealthy way?
Yeah.
I need to ask you the same question because you told me something.
Yes, sir.
So, one, ego has a negative connotation, but ego is just self-image. So it's like, it's not bad. Literally, by definition, but it's made out to be. So that was very interesting. I like how you mentioned that. But you mentioned to me a little bit ago, you were saying that, you know, this month, this upcoming month, you're gonna go like hard on Cutco, and you feel like God is like telling you now, like it's gonna be like kind of like a you time, like focus on you. So kind of like the same question, how do you feel about that, and like what does the topic mean to you? How does that tie into this journey that you feel like God wants to take you on with, you know, you're gonna be prioritizing career, and although it won't be like long term, like always number one, like now it will. And how does that align with your dreams? Like, how does that tie into the topic?
Sure. I feel like a lot of these motions, they come in waves, and every positive experience and negative experience does eventually have an expiration date. So it's not about getting to that destination or that goal that you're striving to get to, because it's all going to end at one point or another, but it really comes down to loving the process and making sure you are challenging yourself, because that's obviously the key to growth. But throughout this next month, it's really that transformation, and the reason that I want to work hard in all categories of my life right now, in this month specifically, is because it's the month of giving. And I feel like working hard correlates for me personally to, you know, providing value to more of my relationships, to more of my business in more ways than one. Because if it is all about me, I'm thinking and worrying about how I'm going to survive and how I'm going to provide for myself, when I should really be focused on outsourcing that energy and saying, how can I provide value for others or my loved ones or my close friendships? And so that's kind of what it looks like for me.
So what about the dream aspect with the title regarding, you know, so say God takes you on this journey and you're going to do this career. Do you feel, because obviously, like, you know, dreams / goals are tying into this decision career-wise, how would it be dreaming alone compared to not dreaming alone? How will you not dream alone with this?
I think at the source of everything is just, well, first of all, not to sound cliche, but just going to God first and asking, is what is my intention in this? And not just thinking about it on my own, because if it is on my own, it's going to be for myself. No doubt about that. But if I go to Him and pray about, you know, what are my intentions going into this business meeting, or my, you know, this conversation or this hangout, whatever that looks like, is showing up as presently my full self, first of all, making sure that I'm being present in the moment, but also that God is being able to use me in all of those scenarios to provide value, per se.
So what is dreaming alone? Like, what? It's like, why dream alone? What is not dreaming alone? Like, in like one sentence, what is not dreaming alone?
What is not dreaming alone? So,
like in one sentence, if you had to go, not dreaming alone is blank, and then you submit it to the teacher. What is not dreaming alone?
I would say, I mean, for me personally, I would say, intentionally inviting, whether it be God or, you know, people that you highly respect, into what you're doing, into your life, and instead of just like mentioning, trying to lone wolf it, if you will. How would you describe lone wolfing?
Yeah, lone wolfing is dreaming alone. I mean, being by yourself. So here's the deal, like, in order to accomplish massively amounts of successful anything, there's going to be a lot of lonely nights. But on the day of celebration, you don't celebrate alone unless you've been dreaming alone. And I've done that, where I've hit the high mountain and I was up there by myself. And what I realize is I want to help other people win, so that way I can celebrate their successes, and they can help celebrate with me as well. Because my mission is not Robbie's mission. Robbie's mission is not my mission. And same with Shane. And like today, I just met Shane for the first time, and we get to work on this project together. This is not my mission. This is theirs. This VibeCheck thing, y'all tuning in.
Hey, pretty good fit, right?
You might have not thought it was your mission, but God knows exactly where you need to be.
But we're dreaming together, and our dream is to change the world. Our dream is to change lives. Our dream is to help people and hopefully save lives.
Hell, we're playing the same podcast. You know?
Because the reality is, and it's going to take a small turn here, and it's you know, we're entering the holidays. We've started the holidays, and a good friend of mine one of his buddies and trainers took his own life after Thanksgiving dinner because chances are he felt alone. Reality is, I lost my cousin 12 years ago. He was my best friend. But the reality is he suffered alone. And once we realize that we're not alone, that we have God and we have brothers and sisters that know pain, maybe not know our pain, but we got to share that pain with people, because the enemy wants us to be alone. The enemy wants us to be scared. The enemy wants us to feel like no one understands us. But that's a lie. We're not alone. So we can't dream alone. We have to consciously choose to surround ourselves with people who are on a mission to do the same things that we're trying to do, which is change lives. Ask yourself within, ultimately, what's your goal? What do you want to do? You want to help people? Right? Chances are, if you want to make a lot of money, it's to help people. And if it's not, it's to buy more Ferraris, then, why do you want those Ferraris,
Donald, you know what's crazy?
What's that?
As like Mickey Boy, who I'm referring to, he's our friend, our older friend, whatever. No, but he inspired this topic, and I was like, oh great, that's perfect. And we did invite him to come on tonight, but he's a very busy guy. But what he did say, in this text, I kid you not, he goes something along the lines of best of luck finding like someone who is like most fitting. It was something about fitting, was it not? What was it?
Yeah.
He said, find. It was something along the lines of blank, 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 or very fitting, like a very fitting person.
It's like who God wants to be there, pretty much.
Donald, I kid you not. No disrespect to Mickey Boy, what you just said. I don't know if I could have come up with a better answer to that question. I think you needed to be here on this podcast tonight with this topic. And I was excited about this topic, and it was kind of cool that I honestly will say, without you on this episode right now, with this topic, I do not think we would have provided our audience with the same amount of high value. So it's really a blessing to have you here. And even Mick inspiring the idea and his words, he was part of the process as well. It's kind of crazy because you said something earlier to me today when we were having our conversation before we went live. You said you like how I say I want to be like a child because he's the father. And so we're all going to be on that same page.
Yeah, absolutely.
Shit, that's just getting deep.
Oh.
No, we were having the greatest conversation.
Just curious, Donald, if there's somebody lone wolfing it out there that's watching this right now, what advice would you give them in their position right now?
One, it is a tough place to be. And so I just want to acknowledge everything that you're feeling. It totally makes sense. So I've been there, and it's not necessarily a bad thing, but let it be an awareness that if you feel alone, or if you feel like you're the only one doing this hard life, let that be a flag, an indicator that you have to reach out. And the resources, there's an abundant amount of resources. My Instagram is one of them. Just call me. Like, I don't know who you are, but if I can provide value and hold space and just sit with you, and hopefully God points you in the right direction. Like, the biggest thing is we got to reach out, because and here's the hard truth. No one is out here to save us. That's it. No one's going to save us. No one's going to save me. And God won't even save me unless I reach my hand out for his. Mm-hmm. That's it. Yeah. Simple as that. And so if you're a lone wolf in it, find whatever it is that you love. Any amount of love that you can tap into, use that. Ask for help. Reach out to a friend. Go talk to a stranger. Go to a church. Whatever it is, go to a coffee shop and randomly just find someone who's reading a book. I guarantee you, if you just say, hey, I'm going through a hard time, can I just share some things with you? They're probably either going to just say, like, dude, you're weird, and that means they're not the right person for you. Or they're going to be like, oh my God, yes, please do. And they will listen. And for men specifically, and women, or men and women, here's the thing: is we need a tribe. We need a tribe that can support us and help us, call us out when we need to be called out, and remind us can I cuss?
Yep.
Who the fuck we are. Because who we are is children of God. Like, we are made in the image of God. We are not orphans. We are royalty. And like, if you don't think that, that's the enemy in your head. Any negative thought in your head is not you. Don't listen to it. And I have to remind myself that.
We always say that too.
I know. I have to remind myself, and that's why I surround myself with men like these, because the enemy is strong and he tries to remind me, he tries to get me to think that I'm a piece of shit. And the reality is I've made a lot of mistakes and I sin every single day. But I'm not. I'm a child of God and I'm royalty. And as long as I continue to chase God in my heart, like, I'm good.
Yeah.
And you are too. Yeah.
By the way.
So.
And another thing to follow that up with that I do want to mention, if anybody is like struggling out there, and I heard this quote on a podcast about the other week, and I don't know exactly if I'm saying it right, but it's a trauma shared is a trauma halved. So if you do simply like have somebody to talk to and take the initiative to make that, you know, be shared with somebody, it's automatically taking that space up in your, all of that space that's taking up in your head, it's automatically getting it out into the world, where it's like, it releases a lot of pressure, so you're not imploding basically. So it's, yeah, I think it's a really crucial point that you're mentioning, to just simply reach out to somebody. It can be literally anybody. Obviously somebody that you know is actually genuinely going to be there for you. But really anybody, if all else fails. Yeah, that's what I wanted to say.
No, you went,
That's what I wanted
the
to
most
say.
serious, like, that was a lot of value. The most serious looking at it, he was like, and it's like, here's the climax. Yeah. Yeah, that's it. He goes, wrap it up, guys. You're not going to top that. Well, I can't, I don't have my content.
22.
What do you guys have anything else you'd like to say?
Is there something like particularly like, if is there anything that we didn't ask you specifically that you feel like would really provide value
That you want to share
to the world
to like the fucking world?
right now?
Okay, yeah, I'm actually glad you said that, because there was one thing, and I wanted to ask permission from you, audience, and you guys. You know, can I just be like fully vulnerable for a second, like fully transparent?
That's what it's all about, baby.
And
Check
again,
it
this is to
We'd
reach
be
out.
honored.
This is to reach out to anyone who needs to hear this. So most of my life, I thought it was evil. I thought I was a bad person. The truth is I was molested when I was a kid, and that really fucked me up. That molestation and that pain, that grew into a porn addiction, and it went down deeper, and I won't go too deep into it. But I did a lot of bad things, but I'm not a bad person. And if you're in that place of addiction or pain or trauma or whatever it is, you are not a bad person, and you are worth so much more than you think you are. You are made by God. Don't ever forget that. And reach out, whatever that means, you know. And if you're like, hey man, I get that, I've been there, high five, I'm glad we're in the same tribe, reach back and pull someone forward. Ask someone, call that person that you haven't heard from in a while. Check in on that person, like, hey, how are you doing? Not business, you know, not the vacation, not the car, like, how are you, truthfully? Because holding that space for someone is probably one of the most important, powerful things we can do. And had someone not done that for me, and taking the time to check in and love and care for me and reach back and pull me out, I don't know if I'd be here today. And that's all I got, guys.
I like, the only thing I like to add to that, because I love that. Just, we were kind of talking about it a little bit earlier, but like, you are deserving to be forgiven. So, you know, when you just say like, hey, like, you're not a bad person, I love that confidence. And
You just received that, all of it.
I did.
Yeah, I just felt that in him. He was like, I received that forgiveness.
I received that. Yeah, yeah.
That's amazing.
it literally is so crazy, because when you were, I can just picture someone who, before, like you just said with confidence, but I am not. So you said I am not a bad person. The look in your eye was just an assertive. I'm very aware of the self-respect I have, and I'm aware of my mistakes. But damn it, I'm not gonna let those mistakes bring me down. I will make the learning experiences, and I will grow closer to Christ, and will grow. And the fact that I can just imagine people, because even not as intensely, but parts of me would be like, man, like I can see myself like on my knees, like crying, like, man, like I can't believe I did that, and like it's just so hard on myself. And it's hard to believe that there's this hand, hey man, you're good. I love you so much, and I want you to live with me eternally. You're forgiven. It's like, but I didn't even say sorry. I'm still sinning. It's like, but I love you too much, and you are forgiven. I forgive you, and it's actually insane. And it's like, it's that purity that it's like, oh my gosh, like I can be forgiven and loved. Why can't I do that to others? And this might take a turn, but believe it or not, I'm going down the same path. You guys know the Jeffrey Dahmer series on Netflix?
Seen it? Yeah.
Dude, I literally, in the last 2 months, I have never researched, and a lot of people even use, it's very interesting, all these American killers. Believe it or not, I am going somewhere on topic. This Gary Ridgway is the Green River Killer, one of the, like, I believe, top 5, top 10 most notorious killers in the United States. I believe killed 49 women. In the courtroom, people who were speaking on behalf of their murdered loved ones, or I hate you, F you, burn it. And Ridgway, emotionless, nothing. And here this older man walks up and he goes, Mr. Ridgway, you have killed my daughter, and the Lord asked me to do what is near impossible, but the Lord asked me to do it, and Mr. Ridgway, you are forgiven. And Ridgway, that broke him. I hate you, you killed my son. The blank face. And then the Lord asked me to forgive you. Here's my love to you. You are forgiven, Mr. Ridgway. And Ridgway, it just this, and that video, I was bawling my eyes out when I saw that. I think I sent that to you. And I was like, I'm like, man, like, there is nothing there. Like when they say, it's the cliche line, kill them with kindness, but like there's a deeper meaning to this. When you're feeling that fire with the Lord, it's like this kindness. It's like like you're blessing them so much, or like you're giving them so much love that even the enemy is like what is this? It's like for a second they don't feel like a bad person anymore, like you just said. It's like for a second, even like, let's just say Ridgway's POV could have been something along the lines of like, wow, like everyone's like, I hate you. It's reaffirmation. You are bad and you will burn. You are terrible and like you are forgiven. It's like, I don't feel bad. It's like you feel innocent for a second. And it's like, that's God saying, yeah, it's not too late. And it's like, even a murderer can get saved.
Yeah, I want to push further the fact that I did want to thank you for sharing that and being vulnerable. And I think it's very important to notice what you just did here is I think you gave a lot of people permission to release themselves of whatever burdens that they've been carrying themselves. So whatever they've been carrying, like you've pretty much given them permission to be like, hey, it's okay to share your story, maybe your trauma, your darkest moments, because that's the one thing that's holding the most weight on you right now. So when you can let that go and let God, there's so much more freedom in life to be lived through that. And you're a living example of that. You're walking in that right now. And I feel like that's really giving you a lot of confidence in life to just simply let that chain be broken off of your ankles so you can walk freely as a man in God. It's amazing, dude.
I love that. And the reason there's actually a tear going down my face right now is because...
Stop crying, bro.
No, bro, I kid you not. What you and Mickey Boy have in common, and what I noticed, people who are really feel that fire in the moment, there's a mannerism. And look, I'm not saying I'm analyzing up and down. It just, I notice it. It's this this inhale and this exhale, and it literally is like it feels like a physical representation of peace, and I literally
That weight being lifted.
and it's like what you just said, and you did it at the same time. That's why I turned to you and I was just like, I love what you just said, because you were like, yeah, and letting the Lord come to you in the moment. And while you were saying that, that's literally what you were doing. And my tear was because the thought in my head, I swear to God, the thought in my head was, I am so happy for him that the Lord is giving him this much strength. Like, I really want to get that strong and feel that power, because this man has been through it. And he is still so driven. And for all you guys, that power, I'm telling you, I've been feeling it the last 2 months. And there's nothing like it. Even if you guys are like, oh, I want power and control, well, go to the Lord. He's got the best of it. I'm trying to apply to all audiences here. I'm telling you, there's no greater confidence of always walking anywhere you go and a hand holding yours going, no matter what happens here, you already won. Yeah. And it's like, you serious? Well, as long as you do it through me. It's like, oh shit, okay. All right. Well, why not? I don't know.
Man, I want to like pause and just address that confidence. It's the only confidence I have, and I don't always have it. And when I don't, I feel really bad, but because I forget. But it's truly confidence in the Lord. And I used to not know God. To me, God was like an idea, was a thought. I had no idea who Jesus was, and then He came in and saved my ass, pulled me out of hell, and living hell on earth. And the confidence I have is like, my dad's got my back. Like, sometimes a little snarky, sometimes a little asshole, sometimes a little arrogant, and he'll slap me on the back of the head when he needs to. But the truth is my dad's got me, and you better watch out, because he's bigger than you.
I like that.
That's facts.
But guess what? He's your dad too. So not you. I'm talking to the enemy. But like, that's God. He's
one
he's
thing. Oh yeah. So one thing you guys gotta know about this guy, like he told me about an hour ago that he built a house out of sand, and that the water wash. You know, it's
Storm.
don't take it. Look at the meaning. This guy is like. Sometimes it's like very intuitive. You gotta keep up with this guy. He's on VibeCheck for a reason. And speaking of VibeCheck. Yeah, dude, literally there's been, to be completely open, I'll say right now, you guys may notice we're talking a lot about Christ. Way more than the first couple episodes. Like, way more than the first couple episodes. And yeah, not only that. And like, when we weren't talking about Christ back then, VibeCheck lasted what, 3-4 episodes?
That's even, we're not promoting it at all. We were not proud of what we were putting out.
And now we are promoting it.
True.
We have never been more excited. We're already on episode 22.
22.
And it's like, it's really hard not to, like, every Monday night where it's like, wow, like, we're like about to like literally vibe out, talk about Christ. And it's like, you know, cause it's also nice because we typically are meeting in the evening. So it's like, there's no like these distractions. So it's just like, yo, like, we got through the day. And it's, in a way, we're like reflecting and giving the credit to the Lord. And we're like, yeah, like this is what it is. And it bleeds into like the topic, and it just, because the topic, it's not like episode 1 through 20. It's a God. Like, I don't know if God's even mentioned in the title, maybe other than one. Maybe listening to God's plan. I think it was only one. Yeah. But it's so hard. I'm not gonna lie, and I blame this guy. And I'm gonna be blaming this guy. I don't think I can have like a valuable conversation, like a truly satisfying conversation, if the Lord is not brought up. And I couldn't say that more than 2 years ago. So it's insane. I don't know, like, Lord. It's like, because if you're living your life through Christ, it's kind of hard to talk about your career without talking about your loved ones, your hobbies. Like, I mean, hell, you were just telling me about a new career path for you that the Lord blessed you with, and it was recently when you prayed, and it's not like you prayed and asked for things, but God chose that was your time. And you'll have to keep me updated with the journey. I mean, hell, I'll see you on Instagram. But bro, I'm excited, man. Like, this is crazy because we did just meet, and so a lot of what you guys heard, I'm hearing for the first time as well. But dude, it feels like I'm doing it for a little longer. You know, like sometimes you meet those people, and it's like, because it's like I don't know, I'm just doing this shit as I always do. It's not like
that's how I always recognize how it is when I know God has placed this person in my life for a reason. I'm like, I knew them spiritually already. I already felt that. I was like, yeah, this is meant to be.
You know what's funny? We were like, have anything else to add as we're about to close? At this point, I will shut up. I have nothing else. Do you guys have any? That's not me saying, hey guys, shut up. We have to end the podcast.
Yeah.
If you guys have anything that you also like to add, please do. If you guys feel good about it, I was going to shout out your social media. I'm gonna make a point because obviously you extended an offer, and I'll also put the link.
I feel like he's gonna be the type to be like, hey, don't follow me, follow God.
But you guys don't follow me on Instagram.
But no.
Well, okay, follow me, and then.
But
Lord.
no, wouldn't you agree that you can tell me if I'm wrong? Like you are most excited to share this very episode that we filmed today, out of all of them.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
This one, like, I don't think I've.
And that's no
cried
discredit. That is no discredit to any previous, guests or even us.
Wait,
It's
no.
not to
While we're
discredit
also
us.
on live, let's take the time to actually discredit them while we still can.
Yeah. And you know why? And I feel like this is because we know that the ultimate value you can provide to people is God. And I feel like we talk about God the most on this
Yeah.
podcast.
I mean, I literally had a tear.
What
That's
should we be doing more of?
And so
is
actually
good
on
Of joy.
on that note, like I grew up with an uncle who was a Bible thumper, and he very much pushed me away from God and Jesus. And so I'm speaking to those non-believers. If you're skeptical about God, good. Be skeptical. Question everything. Because I remember I went out, I left my Catholic church at age 18, and I ventured out because I just had this feeling that there was something out there, and I used to believe in the universe and all these other things. I just didn't know what it was, and I just kept praying. I just kept praying and praying, and finally God revealed himself to me. And so if you're skeptical, if you're not a believer, if you don't get it, that's okay, but open yourself up to things you can't see. And that's faith.
And I like how you said it, like, God revealed, because it's like there is some initiation because he has this plan that will plant seeds in your life, but ultimately, like, you said you can't, like, no one will save you, and that you have to save yourself. But like as you said, like you decided there's something more out. You literally had to get out of this comfort zone and save yourself. You had to get out, and it's like, hey, God, like, yeah, I'm right here, but you still took that initiation, like that could be a scary thought. You're like, you can't, like, no one's gonna save you, but that is your incentive of like, wait, I might need to actually be independent and accept that I'm not perfect. There's gonna be a lot of trauma, trouble, and I'm not gonna be able to do it alone because you're not made for that.
I tried for years. It was all me. My success was all me until that storm came and my family died. Not physically, those people are still alive, but my ex who raised my daughter is no longer in mine or my daughter's life. I don't have my home anymore. My old business is gone. My old life died and burned because of my sin. And for that first time, when I lost everything and I had nowhere else to go in my life, not a single person to turn to, that's when I finally looked up and I said, God, all right, if you're there, like, I really need you. I need you to come through. I need you. And that was the first time in my life that I actually prayed for God to help me. And so I just pray that you don't hit a point where you lose everything in your life and hurt people to get to that point. I hope you get there sooner than I did. But if you don't, if you're there, like I said, just call it to God. That's all you got to do.
And don't be afraid to pray. Don't feel bad like, oh, I can't pray and ask for something. Like, you're already forgiven.
There's no wrong way to pray. I mean,
Yeah.
I guess, unless you're like, God, bless me with a Ferrari. That's probably the wrong way.
Hey, God, you have a 5.
But God knows you, and don't try to pray like anyone else, like these preachers. He's your dad. Just talk to him. However you talk to him.
If it feels casual and you're like, hey, God, and you're like, it doesn't really feel like I'm talking to somebody, like, let's try again. And it's a process.
That's something I do want to point out. It's like when I first started praying and like even tried to make an attempt, I felt dumb because I was like,
I'm glad
is there anybody out there? Like,
you're not
I'm
dumb.
just talking to a wall, bro. But like, I think it's really, really crucial to realize. I think the way that I found to recognize God's voice is to invite Him first, not just go in speaking to it, but like ask Him to give you clarity on what His voice sounds like.
Yeah.
What it
Yeah.
Nailed it.
and what he's saying to you, and making sure that it's coming from him. If there's any ill will or ill intention in that, you know it's not coming from him. Like, that's just automatic. Like you mentioned, you're like, you have different spiritual entities maybe speaking to you.
Your intuition is God's communication tool that he gave you.
That confirms what we always talk about too.
Yeah, I always say that your prayer is you talking to God, but your intuition is God talking to you. But being very clear on if that is God's voice is crucial. Now, there's a metaphor that I wanted to bring up. I was going to bring it up earlier. It's like that little kids show. I don't know if you've ever seen Hercules, but there's this scene where there pops up a little angel and a little devil on his shoulder.
Right, on
and that is so accurate to our lives. And what the blessing of it all is you get to choose who you're listening to. It's all your choice. You can go this way or you can go this way. But
I love how you say Hercules as a very specific old show, but like I feel like that was on like almost every nice show, but that is still an amazing point.
Yeah, and that even goes to drive the point further that it is Hercules. You're Hercules. You have the strength to make that decision. So I just think it's really important to realize. And another point that I did want to make is that faith in general, it's not meant to be easy per se. Like, imagine this. I think I mentioned this on a previous episode. If every single day was a good day, there would be no good days. And so when you're questioning your own faith, that is driving you closer to God, because it's making you, it's challenging. And on the other side of challenges always comes more fruit. And so once you get through those questions, you find the answers, it's going to draw you closer to God instead of there being like no use for faith in the first place. If everything was good, everything was okay, there'd be no use for faith at all. And so I think he brings us those challenges to lean on him. So I think that's pretty crucial to recognize.
I promise, like that is authentically just that good. We literally like sometimes think of topics like probably most of the time.
Oh, there were people asking if this was pre-recorded.
Who's asking that?
Oh, it was on the comments.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, let me say, we don't go in and go, okay, so you start.
I'm going to say this.
And then you lead with God, and then I'll talk about Christ, and then we'll tie it together how it's the same thing. No, it's like, we also are not going in with like, hey, listen, guys, talk about whatever you want, but like, you have to tie it to God. it literally,
it's part of our contract.
And I think when Rob and I started the podcast, VibeCheck, it lasted we recently brought it back, but dude, it was almost 2 years ago where we weren't nearly as close with Christ. Wow. Would you say 2 years ago? What difference of your relationship?
But you know what's amazing about that?
What?
It's like, we had our conversations, our phone calls, saying like, hey, this should be on a podcast. We knew like we were intuitive or whatever that means. Whatever that means. Now we know what it means. But looking back, it's like we saw glimpses of what God had for us, and now we know exactly what intuition is.
Dude,
and
and
we were like, oh, something needs to be shared here, and now we know.
And look what it grown into.
It's the heart of Christ that needs to be shared.
So do you feel then? So when we moved here and we started this January of 2021, it's about to be January 2023, almost 2 years. Has your relationship with Christ, would you say it has skyrocketed or has been a steady difference? Like, do you think where you are now to where you were 2 years ago with Christ is a huge difference? You feel a great difference of that fire?
I'd say like exactly like you mentioned. I didn't think about this, but it's both. Like you have your spurts, like you have your times where you lean on God like you never have before, and you're like on the other side of that, you're like monumental, like boom, there it is. But there are the times where it's like a little bit of gradual growth, and you have your dips, like your questions. It's just like any other.
I was in those questions just 2.5 weeks ago. I was exhausted. I was tired. I was running ragged. And it just hit me. I'm like, I need to rededicate myself to the Lord. Oh shit. I've been focused all on me and my will and my power, and I got to make these sales, and I got to make this income, and I got to do this thing, and me. And I just literally just canceled work, and I went to church, and I just 2 weeks ago, had you asked me to do this podcast 2 weeks ago, we would not be talking about, it would not be going the way it was. I would not be showing up.
It really is.
You talk to me about, you say how I'm fired up for the Lord right now. I wasn't 2 weeks ago. I wasn't. I crawled my ass into church and said, I just need to be here.
May I encourage you to do something?
What's that?
Every time you're in that mode,
call.
watch this episode.
Oh,
Yes, sir. And that goes for all of us.
Yeah.
It goes for all of us. That's not just me.
You know what
like,
makes
you
it about
use
this growth? Although you guys are describing up and down, believe it or not, Mick and I were talking about that. Literally at Chipotle, Mick goes, I feel, because we're talking about Lucas's example with the ball, he goes, I feel the thing is that, yeah, like you need failures, but overall, like there'll be ups and downs, but it's going to be going up.
Oh, yeah.
So let me rephrase my question, acknowledging what you guys said, being very accurate. Is there a difference of your highest up now, like the fire that you at your peak feel? Does that peak, like, from any peak you had 2 years ago, like the
My
fire?
highest high now.
Yeah, like when you feel the highest of high, how does that compete with the highest of high, say 2 years ago?
I would compare it to happiness and fulfillment. I'd say that like on a day-to-day basis, yes, I still get those, sudden like, oh man, I really love the Lord today. But like over time, I feel like my fulfillment with the Lord and my relationship with Him has cultivated a lot stronger, and I feel like my overall sense of my relationship with Him is higher than it's ever been.
I'm gonna dumb this down, even though that made clear sense to me. What would you make it out of 10? Out of 10 before? Out of 10 now. Even as simple as that. If you had
Out of 10.
Yeah. I can give my answer first too. I have mine.
No, you're good. I feel like it's always breaking barriers of 10. Like I feel like it's as good as it gets, and then it just gets better every single time.
So you're saying before it was already like out of 10, and now
It's like what I expected to be what a 10 was, or what that felt like, and then every time like I go down to like a 6 or a 5, because it's not always out of 10, it breaks that barrier again.
Kinda like-
I like it, like God reveals more of Himself to me in my life.
So it's like you thought you could be out of 10, but you're like, wait, no, it's actually out of 20. And then it's kind of like, it's like,
Exactly, yeah.
I feel like, I don't know how this might sound so stupid, but I feel like back then, it'd be like maybe like a 4 or 5, very neutral. It's, yeah, I'm saved, but like not practicing. But practicing and like actually trying to make an effort could be like a 7 or 8. But that would be my answer now. However, your guys' point, it would lie under priority, because although I would say 7 or 8 now, how I feel right now, this would be a 10 to me. If I felt like I would be, I'm not a 10. Like if I felt this good, but I feel this good, but I know that's 7 or 8, because as I said, I see people like you who you're older than me, you've been through your share, and I can see that strength, and it's like, and even 2 weeks ago, you're like, yeah, this, but like, it's like muscle, you're like your heart's so good, you can quickly adjust back and have that purity to break down the wall and go, God, just take me in, because you are deserving of that. And that is strength to its core. And I want to keep getting strong and have that and really feel like this just insane fire. So like my question, although simple, what you guys said is so true. It does constantly exceed the expectation. Because I would have said, because back then I'm like, oh yeah, I'm at a 6. If you told me, oh, now you feel like that, I'd be like, oh, so that's a 10. It's like, no, because then you're gonna think, oh, it's 10 out of 15. Because it's like, God put someone else in your life. He planted another seed that showed His power. It's just that insane.
Yeah, you know how you're referring to the metaphor of like God's hand's here, all you have to do is like grab it?
Yeah.
It's like, I was actually given that metaphor in terms of an airplane. It was an airplane flying by, and somebody was like, it's like your relationship with God. He's always moving in your life, but you're just standing there. You're not really making an effort. And that's when I was really struggling to like understand what God's voice sounded like. And what really cultivated a big difference for me is understanding more of who God was and how to recognize Him and how to understand His voice is really getting to know Him. And the only way to do that is consciously through the Word. And I feel like really opening Scripture and understanding more of God's intention, God's heart, and learning more about Him and that energy that we were talking about earlier, just like how gravity, like it's not, we can't see it, but we know it's there where our feet are on the ground. It's the same thing with God's word, and the more that like we absorb that from the page,
I like
there's
that.
energy and presence through that, and that's that same feeling that you felt when you walked in and saw Donald, and that's that energy that you
That
feel
magnetism,
because it-
gravity might as well go with the
radiates.
same
It's the
metaphor,
biggest
right?
thing that he says that I have is a sense
Magnetism.
of magnetism.
It's like a
when I walk into
charisma
a
that.
room, people feel that, and
You think
Bro,
there's a difference?
Robbie, fuck, dude. One of the biggest reasons why I love you is because you're so filled with the Lord, bro. Like straight up, like I have such an
That's my
affinity
thing, too.
in like in my journey and working with you as a coworker. Like I've looked up to you in terms of your relationship with God, because how can you tell if you or if someone else is walking with the Lord? Look at the fruit. Just look at the fruit in their life.
Yeah.
And we can judge, right? Others, and we won't truly know the other like people's fruit in their lives, but we can know the fruit in our own lives. And like I could just feel the Lord and the Holy Spirit flowing through you since the day I met you. And so I know exactly what you're talking about in terms of that magnetism. It's very, very palpable, bro.
Like I would describe it as there's charisma, there's magnetism. There's charisma that's like oh yeah, that's cool. But like charisma naturally does draw on people, but like I feel like when you have charisma combined with magnetism, it's like charisma, it's like you can acknowledge, but the magnetism it's like wait, it's like no, what's happening? What's happening? And
It
you're being
pierces the
it's like
soul.
why am I not around it? But it's literally it's like you as you just said, you liked seeing you literally saw like a part of God through him. It was like you looked at his relationship with Christ, and so it's like when people look and they can see Christ and they see that love, they want it. It's like no way, that's insane. Like, and so when they see it through you, it's like, oh shit, it's literally God. Literally what you said, and not only that. I hope I don't lose my train of thought. There's one thing you just said that I love. Yeah, bro. No, wait. What was the last thing you just said?
that I just said,
Yeah.
the presence feeling from the page and how like it's magnetism and like how we feel that energy amongst us because
Yeah.
of what we absorb.
That's what reminded me. Thank God you said that like this, because I had not remembered
And
this.
I usually don't remember things, but thanks God.
I think I either told you or you earlier. I may have said this, but I felt like, as I said, like remember I think I said like 2 years ago. This may have been like off the podcast. I don't even know anymore. But I said like 2 years ago. It's like I wasn't like actively like chasing the Lord, but I knew I wasn't like a bad guy. I was like, oh yeah. I was like, I didn't lie. I was like, and what you said, it's like, what the podcast was, that we were like, oh, this like that intuition. We felt like it had to be shared. And now we know like it's the Lord.
Right.
And I said that like I knew deep down even like years ago, because I knew even in 2020 when I was like going through my own trauma, my own breakup, I was just like I knew deep down I'm like I know I have a good heart, because I know at the end of the day like I have remorse, and I always, although it may not come off as the people pleaser because people may see me as a confident guy, I really always think of ways, even if I don't execute, of how can I make this person happy. And that's why I'm not surprised that I've found God, but I am surprised of the power of God. that is what I'll say. I'm not surprised I found him, because I knew deep down this purity, it was him, and it was like some kind of, I knew it was him, because you're not gonna find purity in anything else but God. Nothing's perfect other than him. But I did not think, I'm so at peace. I literally lost one of my best friends, and I was just like, last time I lost somebody, I was destroyed. And I literally, the grieving was so quick. It was, I kid you not, maybe 5-7 days later, I woke up and no anxiety, nothing. And I was like, wait, what was I stressing out about? And then I checked my text. I was like, oh yeah, I was dealing with it. Oh my gosh, that's still going on. I was like, I'm worried over it. It was like this feeling of unfazed, because it was like, the Lord's like, you're not going to find a rock in them. You need to trust me that, Shane. Sometimes there's going to be people in your life for a season to teach you a purpose, but ultimately these people and everything I have for you is like, it's going to get you closer to me and thus closer to where your destination is. You got to trust in this, okay? It's going to be tough sometimes. You're going to sometimes go back before you go forward, and that was one of those moments, but it was like, instead of this long grieving of, oh no, like, or it was just kind of like, it's just hard. It's just like, God's like, yeah, like, you had 100K, we're gonna double it in the casino, but it's like it's just gonna get better, and it's kind of hard to like be like, man, this sucks when it's like, it's for the best. I've been having such a hard time. I'm not trying to sound good. I don't know about you guys, but I've been having a hard time like staying upset, and even when I am upset, I'm like, should I? Like, I do try to get my room.
It's very temporary. You're just like,
yeah,
I'm over that already.
I try to give myself thought to like grieve, or like I'm like, but like
I'm like, I should be pressed about this.
yeah, and I'm like, but I'm just really,
I feel that.
I feel really good. Like, I'm just like, because what happens is like anytime, like, oh, like just like today, it's like.
Do you ever feel bad about like not feeling bad?
Bro, did I not?
You ever feel that way? I don't know if
No.
it's something new.
No.
Did I not call
I know.
you?
I'm not vibing
He's
on
not-
that right
he's
there.
not
I'm
checking
like, that's kind of a foreign thing for me. Yeah, dude. Like I feel. I think the new terminology is I'm an empath, whatever the hell that means. I feel so deeply, and like I can go into a house. And whatever the energetic is of that house, I onboard it and I carry it with me.
Yeah.
And like I have to like purge and physically like go get deer medicine, which is literally the act of shaking out the trauma.
Yeah.
And so like I will walk around with this energetic, and I'll like, oh shit, I'm not feeling good. What is this? And I have to like literally physically just shake the sensation off. And
So you're saying it's different because whereas it's very hard to shake it off, it's like we were describing it as more.
But you're
as like,
speaking in terms of like other individuals.
Yeah, or even like there are moments and experiences where things don't faze me, no, and especially don't faze me the way they used to, and I think that's the mature ego of like, my ex-girlfriend just blocked me today, and part of me was like, okay, good, time to move forward.
Yeah.
And it's like, and it was so weird that like I was like, why am I not like sad?
Yeah, and that's what
No,
that's what we're referring to. Like when we're talking about other people, we have actually described ourselves as an empath, so we're really like tap into other people's emotions and feel that and carry their burdens.
I knew we were on the same page.
Yeah. But when it's our own issue and something happens to us, it's almost as if like we don't sit in that because we already know it's taken care of.
Yeah.
Not always, but more now than ever.
Right.
Yes.
Dude, I have to say one thing. I don't even need to go into detail. We've actually had several conversations about like, it's like, man, like when someone else feels bad, and it's like because when someone cries, it's like I gotta cry. It's just like we literally have like we literally were trying like, what's the term for that? Empath or empath? Like I think we had a conversation about how to pronounce it because what you just said, when it comes with other people, there's like this. It's like in a way it bleeds into people pleasing that I was describing because you feel it's so hard to get it off that you're like you want to please it to make it more positive because you don't want that negative. You're like, okay, fine, I'll literally do you the favor. Just get this negativity fucking away from me. Fuck that shit. And it's crazy because he had this like Valentine's Day or whatever, and even Nick was on the same page as I, where let's just say the other person, I don't. Robbie is like so nice of a guy. He was about to go out of his way, even. I don't even want to say like, oh, you felt so bad, but it was just like, oh, this is not the planned best situation. Like, how could I make it somewhat more positive? But in a way, it's like that delivery. Like, would you deny it could be seen as a way of, in a way, pleasing and bring more positivity to that situation? And that's like that empath. It's like, well, doing that's a nice thing to make positivity. That brings more peace. Now, Noah and I were hearing this. We were like.
Now, just to give clarity on the situation, basically what I was doing as I was planning to take this girl on a date. I just met her like the week before, and I was like, hey.
Woman. She's not a girl. She's a woman.
Woman.
But
no. He goes. He hangs out there. He comes back. He goes.
Yeah, you're right.
That girl's obnoxious.
Oh man.
On a serious note, yes, woman. If you will.
That's not a character for a joke for him like that to say. That's what makes it like.
Right.
Yeah, like
no.
He doesn't say like. And go ahead. That's why he took it so serious. Go ahead.
But anyways, I asked this girl, I was like, hey, no expectations or obligations. Would you want to go out and like have Valentine's together? Just, because, we're single and it's something to celebrate or whatever. And I had this like whole day planned out. And she ended up bailing like very last minute. She's like, kind of like ghosted.
Like super last minute. Like this wasn't like days in advance or like.
Yeah. It just like dropped the ball. And I could have just like been pissed about it or whatever. But I literally sent a text message and I was like, hey, like, if all else fails, like, the food I prepped and everything else for a hike or whatever, I know you might be busy, but I can just bring it to you since it's already made. And still didn't get a response, but it's just like, you just have to pay that positivity forward. And that's another topic for another day, but.
And then now that you have the context, Noah and I were just like, dude, it was just like, I generally, like, it wasn't like, this like, oh no bro, you gotta like, dude, you gotta win, like you can't let her get the control, like this college, like it was like Noah and I, because I mean Noah, it was like he's like one of his role models. It was just like to see like a guy that, not to like suck, not too, but to see like a guy that could probably pull like a very mature, nice woman to be even bailed on, even like, okay, let's say the legitimate reason, but even the way it was done, it was just like to see this guy go out of his way again and deliver. It was like Noah and I were just looking at it. It was like, no, like this is like, say this is a movie. We don't want to see that scene. Like that's just so like I want to. If I had to rewrite this, it'd be like, oh okay, and then it's like Robbie goes out with an even better check, and then
so let me get this straight, Robbie. You delivered food or you did not deliver?
Did not.
I didn't. Yeah, she didn't end up applying or anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Not an expert, but I've heard this word, please. Mm-hmm. Men, people, women, everybody, do not be a pleaser.
A simp. I thought you were about to say a simp.
Yeah.
Oh,
if I was
don't even
thinking
know what
about
that
it
is.
now, out of terms of that, I would just said like, not gone out of that way just because it's just like self-respectful for me. I feel like.
Yeah.
Just to be like.
And you're a good guy, and it made logical sense.
Yeah.
Right?
I was
Well, the thing is, why not give it someone who like would fully appreciate? Like, I just think about the time that you have, and like, because I know you're ambitious, you grind, you got a lot of things going on. I'm like, the time that you would even take, it's like, I find it very unlikely there's not someone out there who's just like, man, like, I mean, even I feel it's just, Robbie's a kick-ass guy who would appreciate it a lot more than like the time you would spend on that woman.
I think of it like when we're making Cutco calls and we're
yeah.
And we're trying to like book an appointment and they're like, nah, I don't want those knives.
You're spending more time on it.
Yeah, and like I used to be upset when
I'll
people
send
would,
you a free one.
Yeah, I would be upset, but then I learned, okay, cool, no soup for you. Next.
Rejection isn't a bad thing.
No.
There's like no return on investment, if you will.
Yeah.
ROI. Yeah. But I haven't heard that from you in a while. ROI.
ROI.
And, it's like because I had the same experience with a woman where I actually met her in a cafe and she was asked for a pen and I've been single for a while now and I'm kind of like, I also dated for like 9 years. Mm-hmm. So I never really had opportunities to go and talk to women in that regard.
Right.
So there was this beautiful woman at this cafe. She asked me for a pen. She was reading. I was leaving, and then she was like, "Oh, your pen back?" I was like, "Okay, cool. I'm gonna talk to her. I'm gonna ask her for her number." She was reading a book. What are you reading? It was a single book about like owning your singleness, and I'm like, "High five, me too."
Owning your singleness.
I'm on that. And we had a lot of similarities. And we connected. I was in a 8.5-year relationship. She was in a 7.5-year relationship. We both found God. We both found Christ. And we were connecting, and we were going to meet again for coffee. And then she canceled. She texted me hey, I can't be able to make it. I'm so sorry. And then that was that. So I was like, cool, no worries. I got busy with work, and I responded something along the lines of hey, look, I'm big on communication. I'd love to meet and, have coffee, no strings attached, no obligations, no expectations.
I just want to get to know you a little bit.
I just got good vibes, and you know, I want to explore that.
That's such a good way to phrase that. I like that. It's like, hey, no, I like that. I got it.
And she was like, yeah, I'm not really like, I normally am down for that, but I have a lot going on with my church. I'm like 3 days a week. Cool, you're just not in the season right now, and I get that. Awesome. That's okay. It's God's will. It's not mine, man. And it's you know, that's it.
Yeah,
No stress. That's it.
That's right. It's like so were you guys waiting for like the and then I was crushed. And it's like no, it's good.
Could I have been?
God.
Could I have taken it personal?
Could you have received that?
Could Robbie have been like, "What's wrong with me?" What? Could I have been? What's wrong with me?
Hell no! I will never be caught being like,
My man, could have fucking should have, right? It's all about speed, micro speed, macro patience, value, time, fuck.
But that's a crucial point. Is to recognize that whatever people's actions outside of your own, you don't have to receive it.
You really
have
don't
to receive it.
Honestly, literally, if anyone walked up and I was like thinking, what if someone just walked up to me and said F you? And like everyone was like, oh, and they looked at me.
Go with kindness.
I feel like I would have like, I'd be like,
I appreciate it.
I'm not gonna let your inner insecurity project that negative energy and receive that. I'm gonna choose not to receive it because that negative energy is really not my business, but I generally wish you the best and
I'm gonna pray for you.
can I pray for you tonight about anything? It's like, because you tell any enemy, like, even if you want to be a little, even if you gotta be a little snarky, just be like, that's just due to your insecurity. I'm not gonna receive that. That's not my business. But what can I pray for you for?
2 years.
Yeah, but like, can you, oh wait, well, no, Robbie goes, your psychological problems are not my problem.
I didn't say that.
No, one time we were just like, this was like once we moved to LA and Robbie's like, he's like, yeah, man, like, when they're projecting that, and I'm thinking it's about to be something serious, he goes, that's just their psychological problems. And it was just like,
You know what? That's actually funny.
Psychological
because how it's kind of transformed, this lingo, if you will. It's gone from like, your psychological problems to like, I don't receive that. It's very similar.
but at least it still has
Think of
this.
that. Yeah, it's all
I don't really receive.
Well,
Used to be like, I don't know about
I
that.
feel like we're just babbling at this point, but we've been on for 70 minutes almost.
Holy this is the longest
So
one.
By far, I think by 2.
Weren't we just at 22 minutes? What
By
happened?
far, what?
Fast forward. It's like twice as much as we've ever done. 70 minutes?
Yeah,
Pretty
look,
fire. There's a lot of value packed in here.
guys, so I think the only thing we forgot was to go over the topic. Why dream alone? What does that mean to you? Oh, shit, no, we're good. All right, guys. Oh, no, Robbie, sorry.
Yeah.
What does it mean to you?
No, we're good.
It's
But,
like, I swear.
No,
right?
on a serious note, I do
Oh, yeah.
want
I do want to
you
answer the
guys
question.
to, if you did truly, purely find a lot of value in this episode, you're more than welcome, not even to like boost more views, because I know I'm personally going to go back and watch this if you need to, and if you need to revisit this episode, you're more than welcome to. If you need to share it with a friend that you feel would be this would be beneficial for them, please do, because I truly believe that we can change the world with just this video, and if it changes one life, that person could change millions of lives, and I feel like you just got to keep paying forward the love of Jesus Christ. So that being said, was there anything else that you guys wanted to touch on?
We made a topic about the domino effect, right? Have we done that yet? Of the positivity.
I think it was like one of the first ones. But
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Maybe we made that. Well, I'm just asking you, so it's like that could be another one.
Yeah.
And then, actually, why don't we end it with telling the viewers what our next topic is, and we'll leave it at that. We won't go into depth. Your 4.
Oh yeah. So
Without saying it, but like, how would you like? What would the title be of it? Like the title.
for 3 people, 3 groups to be a part of, and 1 group to avoid.
We'll break down the episode, the 4 groups. And I heard it for the first time today, and I was just like, that's good. Like, we got to put that out there. So, guys, thank you so much for watching. And before you guys go, take a note of, would you like to provide your Instagram, your valid offer, if anyone would like to reach out to you?
Yeah, and that's a serious offer. I love getting one-on-one calls with people. I've done it for a long time. I've had a lot of men reach out to me who've suffered with porn addiction, so that's kind of an area that I've gained a lot of experience in. not watching porn, but stopping watching the porn.
Yeah, he's not like, hey, let me give you the best man. No.
No. And so my Instagram it can be confusing, at ITS Donald Craig. It's
I'll
Donald
put the link
Craig.
in my.
Yeah, just click the link.
I'll put all
Click
our
the
links.
link.
And I will especially. I'll make sure I remember, especially for Donald, because as you said, it's confusing. I want to make sure you guys have that offer on the table available if you guys need it.
And we obviously can't forget, it's Cyber Monday. If you need some Cutco, hit your boy up.
I forgot Cyber Monday. I needed to buy a TV.
Oh, there you go.
But guys, check us out. Instagram, Facebook, Shane Aggie, Robert J. Bobby, and
It's
I'll put the
Donald
links.
Craig.
It's Donald Craig.
So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys had as much fun as we did.
Much
and,
love.
We'll catch you guys soon.